provide for one's family or something like this. But, all the creative ideas that I come up with are not motivated by money, but motivated just through inspiration on how to reach more people. Mm. And, I would say that an example that I went to Burning Man, which is a giant festival here in Nevada, 2 years ago with my household, my Zeitgeist household. And we met up with essentially the Los Angeles chapter out there. And Burning Man is wonderful because it is a place where people come and they bring loads of resources. They bring more than enough for themselves and everybody else. And so it's a very abundant atmosphere with no responsibilities as far as, having to report to a job or something like this. Mm-hmm. And so I was really able to engage people in that reality that, listen, guys, look how wonderful life is right now. What's responsible for this? Well, there's more than enough for everybody to go around. You don't have to, check into a job. And what would happen though? What would happen if all of a sudden these resources were cut off? Because the atmosphere is full of love and appreciation and gratitude and creativity. It's just, it's really beautiful. But what would happen if these resources were to be cut off? It would be chaos. That place would change literally in a day or two if the water was cut off. So, I was really able to reach people that way so that they could really appreciate how important resource management is and how important it is that everybody have equal access to the necessities of life. So yeah, I don't really know if that really answers your question. I guess I really didn't fully understand it, but how much have I appreciated money is not necessary? I mean, hugely. And that's why we picked up, we had to pay money to get these automated machines that produce food and water and materials, but, so that other people could, hopefully really appreciate this as well, because it's a huge deal.
Yeah. I mean, all the time you were just talking about the atmosphere of Burning Man, I had this huge grin on my face because I've also been to similar festivals. One of them was, I think it's called the Over the Moon Festival because it sometimes changes its name. But when I went to it, it was called the Out of the Ordinary Festival, and it was essentially just a big hippie festival in Hailsham, in East Sussex. And basically I went there with one of my friends who was also a TZM activist, and we were basically asked to go down there, well, he asked me to go down there to help him with a TZM store, because we basically he got a couple of thousand leaflets. I printed off I burnt off a couple of hundred DVDs, and we got rid of virtually all of them over the course of a weekend.
Awesome.
But it's that wonderful feeling that you get whenever you're at a festival. You're walking around, there's just this wonderful atmosphere, and you get it, and I'll bet you'll start grinning in a second when I say this, that you get the impression that this atmosphere, this community, and this feeling, this is what life should always be like.
Yeah. That's it, man.
And one of the only things that is staving off that is keeping that feeling in place is knowing that you do exist in that moment and not have to worry about that daily grind that you have to go back to in a couple of days. When the festival starts cranking down and you start thinking, I've got to get up for work in the morning, and it just completely brings you down, and that, even that in of itself, that is a testament to how, detrimental and how immoral the idea of wage slavery really is, because it just destroys our spirit, our mind, our, our confidence, our
Yep.
self-esteem.
Yep.
It just destroys so much about us. And
It
a lot,
just
yeah, sorry, you were
just
saying?
destroys. I agree. It just destroys. When I was telling you about when I had my awakening process, and I was living in Los Angeles at the time as a street performer, dancer, I had to quit my job. I had to. I just had to in order to really embrace this joy, this awakening that I was experiencing. I could not function. I mean, I could, but it was so difficult for me to function, to report back into the daily grind. It was too much. And, unfortunately, I still needed money to survive. And that came in the form of pretty much living on credit cards. And I would supplement with street performing as a Silverman robot on Hollywood Boulevard. But
Mm,
it made all the difference in the world, Adam. It really did. Being able to finally free myself and feel like I was, not self-employed, even though that was the idea. Obviously, I still need survival credits,
mm,
but being able to not have to report to the job was so liberating and so freeing. And this does not come as a surprise to anybody listening, I'm sure. But it's so true, man. If I could have just had my needs taken care of, provided for, food, water, clothing, shelter, communications, transportation, if those things were taken care of, bliss,
mm.
bliss. There's really not much to worry about.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's actually, one of the things that because this is one of the things that I learned from Ben McLeish, because I think he was hosting one of the radio shows, and he was detailing when he went to the Zeitgeist Media Festival, I think the first Zeitgeist Media Festival, and it was a couple of questions that he asked to, I think it was a waitress, I think he asked them to, and it's something that I've started using when I'm going shopping. If the shopping is going to take a little bit that sort of period of time during the checkout, when it's a little too long past an uncomfortable silence, whenever I'm in that situation, I use that time to ask those questions. I ask them, tell you what, here's a curious question. If you didn't have to worry about money, if money was no object, would you do this job for free? Now, obviously, this is a person sat on a checkout aisle, so chances are they're going to say no. And I think only one person I've asked has said yes. And I've asked a lot of people, and they would normally, but normally they would just be like, no. And I'd say, okay, well, in that case, what would you devote your life to? And normally they would say something really good, like one of them said, I would actually fully pursue my dream of teaching teaching English to African children. It's just wonderful things like that. And I'm just and then if there's still enough time, I would say, would you like to live in the kind of world where that sort of thing would be possible for you? And if they say yes, then I'll say, okay, here's a leaflet. And I just hand them a leaflet, because I always make sure that I've at least got one or two leaflets on me at all times, because I never know when the opportunity is going to present itself where I can give one to someone.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, that's inspiring, Adam. I'm glad you shared that with me.
And it's just really strange how, it's just the knowledge of this train of thought. It does, it can swing from either way. I mean, for you, it was, it was the acknowledgement that, there is a huge system of what is essentially economic enslavement, and the knowledge that we aren't as free as we can be. That can be a negative thing. But for me personally, the knowledge of that we can actually provide and access abundance for the entire human race, that in of itself, that's given me a huge amount of optimism, even though I've always been stuck in the daily grind of having a job. I mean, but it's even with that kind of mindset, we find that that it is quite easy to get sucked back in to the sort of capitalist notions. I mean, one of my previous jobs, I worked as a Christmas temp for Game, which is like a video game chain store here in the UK. And there was one particular moment when I made a successful sale of an Xbox bundle deal, and when I got home, I told my girlfriend about it, and I felt proud about it, and then and she called me out on it, and I'm just like, holy shit, did I just brag about making a sale? What the hell's wrong with me?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's pervasive,
Yeah, it is.
Conditioning that we're given. It's very, very pervasive, and I think that's why we do need to, really do whatever we can to reinforce the notion that money is not going to last. Employment is going away because of machine automation. This isn't going to last. There's no point in feeling proud or glad that we're essentially sucking away access from other people, because I liken the limited resource of money to an analogy of two people sharing a bed. If one person is hogging the duvet, the other person is left cold and wanting. And that's very much like the Western world is hugging all the money, so the third world is left with nothing.
Absolutely right. Now, on that, do you know what? I have really high hopes. Not high hopes, but, what I understand, what's lacking is a lot in the third worlds and the developing nations. But what I understand is going to be the number one thing that really empowers them. What tool it's going to be is going to be cell phones that can connect to the internet. As I understand it, something like over the next 5 to 10 years, 1 billion more people are going to come online. And that's a lot. That's a lot of people that have never been online before, who have never had access to the information that, those of us who have been online do have, and has really, really served to change me just based off the information that I've been able to gather to watch the movies, the documentaries, things like this. The things that I've been able to learn to apply, whether it's, unique permaculture gardening techniques, different things like this. I really feel that whenever, this 1 billion people who are beautiful, creative, loving people, and just really want a better life for themselves and their families, when they get a cell phone that will allow them to get onto the internet and start watching videos and reading blogs and learning different things, and then they can start applying them, empowering themselves, empowering others, to really start making some serious moves to help remedy their plights.
Yeah, because that's the thing. A lot of people really underestimate that. The notion that there was. The majority of establishment thinking at the moment is that, you need to, go to university, get a qualification so you can then get a job and then that sort of thing. But those same people who are being demanded to go through that process, chances are the vast majority of them have a device in their pocket which has access to all the knowledge of human history right at their fingertips. We have, Stanford University has a whole semester's worth of seminars on behavioral biology. we have the Khan